Direct and indirect speech in French, part 1 with FrenchSpanishOnline.com. In this part 1, we're going to see the question about direct and indirect speech. So we are going to see the qu'est-ce que questions, the qu'est-ce qui questions, the qui questions, the est-ce que questions, and finally all other questions. So to be clear, let's start with the first part, the qu'est-ce que questions, and let's take an example to understand it better. Je demande, qu'est-ce que tu fais? The qu'est-ce que tu fais question have synonyms, so of course you can also say que fais-tu or tu fais quoi, and in English is what are you doing? So I'm asking, what are you doing? So what can we do with this question now if you want the indirect speech? Well, je demande ce que tu fais. So here we have qu'est-ce que becoming ce que. I'm asking what you are doing. Qu'est-ce que becomes ce que. And this is the rule for the qu'est-ce que questions. Qu'est-ce que become ce que. Let's take more example. Pierre dit, vous faites quoi? Or, qu'est-ce que vous faites? For example. Here it is a direct speech. Indirect is Pierre demande or veut savoir, wants to know, ce que vous faites. Again, we replaced quoi or qu'est-ce que by ce que. So here, you can also say ce que nous faisons. It's correct because actually it depends on who Pierre is talking to. He is talking to a group of people or is talking to us. So if it is talking to us, actually, the correct answer will be Pierre demande ce que nous faisons. Here the same thing. Claire demande il mange quoi? So Claire is asking what are they eating? The indirect speech is Claire demande ce qu'il mange. Again, we replace quoi or qu'est-ce que with ce que in French. Okay? So let's see now the second part, the qu'est-ce qui questions. Marcel demande qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? So Marcel is asking what happened? So here you can also say que s'est-il passé instead of qu'est-ce qui s'est passé or il s'est passé quoi. So here to replace qu'est-ce qui, the indirect speech is Marcel demande ce qui s'est passé. Marcel demande ce qui s'est passé. So here as you can see, the rule is to replace qu'est-ce qui with ce qui. Now the key questions. Claude demande qui êtes-vous? So, who are you? Or vous êtes qui, of course, if you want. So, Claude demande, or veut savoir, wants to know, qui vous êtes? So here actually we just have an inversion between the subject and the verb. And that's all. Claude demande qui vous êtes, because we have the same qui. So here, no change. Of course, again, instead of using the subject vous, you can use nous, depending who Claude is talking to. If he's talking to us, you can say Claude demande qui nous sommes. Here. But if it's talking about to another group of people, Claude demande qui vous êtes. Est-ce que questions. Mon professeur me demande est-ce que tu as fait tes devoirs? So my teacher is asking, have you done your homework? Est-ce que tu as fait tes devoirs? So we have here est-ce que tu question. So in indirect speech, mon professeur demande si j'ai fait mes devoirs. Well, it's not so difficult to understand because it's the same si, if in English. My teacher is asking if I. Okay, so here the rule with the est-ce que question in French is to replace it with the word si. Est-ce que becomes si. And that's the rule. Now let's see all the other questions. Easier actually. It is like qui. Il demande où es-tu? So where are you? Absolutely no change. Just an inversion between the subject and the verb. Il demande où tu es. And that's all. Où, stay, the same word. Another example with quand. Les enfants demandent quand viendrez-vous? Well, the same thing. Les enfants demandent quand vous viendrez. when will you come? So when you will come. Quand doesn't change, just an inversion. This final exercise here in the part 5 is interesting because we are going to see, I think, a bit more complicated in the second part of this lesson. Here, as you can see, when you have here the first part of the sentence, the present tense, the tense in the second clause doesn't change when we have to go to the indirect speech. For example, here we have present, here again in the indirect speech, present tense and present tense again. Let's take here another example because here we have the future, but in the first part we have the present tense. Les enfants demandent, les enfants, the children are asking. Present tense, future tense. Indirect speech, the same thing. Present tense, future tense. So when the first part of our sentence is present tense, there is no change in the second part. It's not going to be like that when you have here, for example, past tense, and it's what we are going to see in the second part of this lesson. So that's why this first part about question and present tense are easy to understand and to prepare you to understand better the direct and indirect speeches in French. Okay? Well, c'est fini. If you want to go to the website FrenchSpanishOnline.com, you will find a quiz to see if you understand this lesson. And of course, you can send me a comment and your observation. I will be happy to read them and to reply to them. Now, again, c'est fini. Au revoir. See you next time.